Hey everybody, it's Brian Burrs. Welcome to this episode of the Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling podcast. First of all, a big thank you for everybody who's gone on to LinkedIn and liked and commented and shared the content that you see on both my profile page, Brian G. Burns, and the podcast page, The Brutal Truth About Sales and Selling. Super easy to find by Google or the LinkedIn search. And connecting up with me is nice, but I really appreciate the people. Just give it a little thumbs up when you see a little video, anything you see on my profile. That way I know you're a podcast listener and a giver, and you're in the top 1% of salespeople out there that really understand and appreciate the podcast and what I kind of do here about trying to share with you what's really working today. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I've got, this is a great case study. Somebody who's been in sales for about 6-7 years right now and had the perfect background. He was a roofer before he got into sales, but now he's crushing it over at Covideo. And Jason suggested he be on the show. And I said, great, I'd love to have practitioners, people kind of bootstrap their way up in sales, especially when, you don't have like a sales mentor. You have entrepreneurs, you have hardworking, smart people, but not people who have, enterprise sales experience. So being able to try and figure things out. Now, there was 3 great takeaways from this, and I'll sum them up at the end. But if you take those 3 things away, I think them alone, you'll learn the 5-6 years of mistakes that Dustin's made. And now he's just cooking it, they're crushing it. So if you go to their company page, Covideo on LinkedIn, follow that, you get updates. The product is just crushing it right now. It's by far the best video email product out there. And let's get into the interview. I'll also give you an update on the courses. The courses are just taking off. Why? Because they're compounding, meaning that it's not just videos and it's not, where you have to do everything yourself, where you're all by yourself, you're alone, and you're not getting any feedback. You're not seeing how other people are applying it. So it's community, where you have office hours, and there's actually a LinkedIn users group for the course. And that's all in the course up at the first chapter, office hours. If you're in the courses, check them out. I put the updated office hours dates. November is going to be a little different because we got Thanksgiving, but we do have 4 Fridays, so you'll be able to get 2 office hours in on the month. And I store them all in the course. All the questions that are asked are put into the course. So it's this living thing. It started out with probably 10 hours in January of last year. Now we're up to probably 30 hours of great case studies. And this is why I don't do a membership. You can do a 12-month payment plan. There's no membership option because I don't want people to think, I can go in, binge it, and then it works. It's like everything else. It's like learning to play a musical instrument, learning to cook, learning to play any game, any skill. You have to do it, get some feedback, talk to other people, try something else, see what other people are doing, share your work with the community, get some feedback on it. And, does it take a year? Well, maybe not. It probably, people are cooking probably after a month. But you then have to scale it. You have to outsource it. And the people who started in January who now are outsourcing it and their week is booked. If I showed you my calendar all the way through the end of the year, I try and keep it to 12 weeks. I'm trying to back it off to 10 just because, people forget when it's that far out, and I forget, and all of a sudden I box myself in and can't take time off, that you are automatic. I get up every week. Every week is structured the same. It's booked full of great opportunities, and people are getting this. And that's what you need. Because what do you want? You don't just want meetings. You don't want just deals. You don't want just huge commission checks where the bank calls and goes, "Is this real? This wire transfer of 6 figures, there must be something wrong. This is inconsistent with your pattern." No, it's real. And that's what we want. But we don't want just that. We want to be able to take vacations and take care of our family and not have to work, not have to put up with the man if we don't want to. We want them putting up with us. Okay, enough, Brian. Let's get into the interview. Hey, Dustin, thanks for joining us today. As a way of getting started, tell us about yourself.
Awesome. Well, Brian, first of all, thank you for having me. We're all big fans here at Co-Video. We love your podcast and we love your content. Um, Myself, I guess I'm an account executive here at Co-Video. I'm in sales, in networking, and been doing this since 2011.
It's a long ride, huh? For one sales
Yeah,
job, isn't it?
absolutely. I mean, they really made it home here, though. It's kind of wonderful because I was not a salesperson when I got here. I wasn't even remotely close or related to tech. Um, but they really welcomed me. They taught me a lot. They made it easy, and I had a lot of really great people to learn from.
What was it like when you arrived? I mean, 7 years ago, video, email was, did it even exist? I'm not sure.
Oh, that's an awesome question. Luckily, I got to skip the survival phase because they got started back in 2004, just bootstrapping it out of somebody's basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I joined in 2011, we'd actually kind of stabilized. Everyone was getting benefits, and the market was becoming something. The technology and the audience was all the pieces were there. We smartphones were pretty much in just about everyone's hands at that point. Internet speeds were a lot faster, and YouTube created a hunger for video, which has been awesome.
And what made you go into sales versus doing something else at the company? Was it something you were naturally good at, money motivated, necessity?
So actually, it was kind of out of necessity. I was, I'm a roofing contractor by family trade, and I've had a hammer in my hand since I was 11. And, it goes back generations, but it was right around 2008, 2009 when I met Ed Mugg. He's one of the three founders of the company. And I did the roof for him and his wife at their property.
You sold them. Huh?
Oh, yeah. And right around that time, all the industries were obviously suffering pretty big with the heavy hit to the stock market, automotive, real estate, mortgage, construction, huge pains. So I was fighting paycheck to paycheck whatever job I could get, and an opportunity opened up to just do handyman work around the property. So I was cleaning out gutters, I was repairing any damage on the house, painting, doing landscaping. Anything he could do to get a little more cash and a little more income at that time was crucial for me. And then after about, I don't know, 2 years of working for his family and, learning a little bit about what he does, he said, I don't know if this is up your alley, but we have an internship opening up. It's a cold call opportunity. I don't know if you've ever done that, if you're even interested. I said, yes, immediately. I interrupted him because I needed cash.
And it's a little bit safer than walking on a roof all day, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing between you and the ground besides a little cushion that you took from a couch and stripped away the fabric so you'd stick to the roof a little bit. That's pretty much the only protection.
Yeah, I live in an urban area, and my neighbor had their roof done one day, and there was like a good 10 people up there, and we're attached. So I felt it, heard it, and I'm like, they were moving so fast, and I'm like, I don't even think they had any safety harnesses on of any kind. And I'm like, ooh. So sales seem like a whole lot easier than that, huh?
Absolutely. And one thing that kind of helped with that motivation was I'm actually terrified of heights. So
You and me both.
I'm the guy that rips up the amusement park map in the line to a roller coaster and bails at the end of the line. So being on a roof, it's very odd. I'm terrified of all the heights, but up there, despite all the danger and everything, that's the one height I felt comfortable and confident with.
And what was your first year like?
At Co-Video?
Yeah.
So it was a whirlwind, man. I had no sales experience, no background in that at all, and I didn't even have a business email. So the closest thing I had to technology at that point was like a Super Nintendo. I could put the cartridge in, play my game. So I upgraded to a smartphone, learned a ton, and at the end of the day, there was a lot of mistakes. And I think that was kind of nice coming in not knowing anything, making these mistakes on my own and figuring out how to overcome them. It was kind of a wonderful teacher.
Now, back then, did they have any inbound? Did people call in, email in, or was it 100% outbound?
At that time, it was 100% outbound, and we were exploring markets. So we
Yeah.
actually got our start in automotive, working with dealerships and vendors that support dealerships. So we had a lot of automotive background, but we connected with APCO or Easy Care, and they actually are a holding company now. But they came in and they gave us pure autonomy, which has been beautiful. But originally, they took the rights to working with the industry that they knew, right? So they took over automotive, and COVID was like, all right, what other markets can we work with? Let's bring some people in. It was me and a troop of Purdue students. So I was the first non-Purdue person on the team, and everyone else was a student. I was trying to work my way back to school at this point. But it was kind of intimidating, but really, really fun.
Well, give us an idea of how your approach has changed over the 7 years. So, what have you learned? How did you learn it? And what's working for you today?
Absolutely. So I'd say the biggest thing about the approach that I've changed and what I wish I would have learned sooner is to care less. I know that seems kind of counterintuitive, but I'm not talking about caring about the customer. I'm talking about caring about making mistakes, caring about being perfect, executing every call exactly how it's supposed to be. That was a big detriment to me in the early beginnings. My first 30-second video working for this video company, it took me like 3 hours to make.
Yeah.
Ridiculous, right?
It doesn't scale now, does it? That's 3 a day.
No. Exactly. So the second I threw away the scripts and I started listening to my customers, asking more questions, not really trying to execute the perfect elevator pitch or have all the answers, that's the moment things started to change for me. It's more about that empathy and listening and seeing if you can find a solution together. You don't have to have the answer when you go into the call.
So it was more about being just being yourself, being authentic. Quit trying to act like a salesperson. Try and connect with people. Try and get the conversation going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing I found was interesting is a lot of people that I worked with in those early years, they actually had a stint of doing some kind of construction themselves. So we actually bonded a lot on, working with our hands and accomplishing construction work and maybe spending a summer doing it as an internship or something like that. And then they never go back. Like there's something there where if you guys face a similar challenge, even if it's for a short period of time, it really builds connection and rapport, right?
Well, that's it. I guess if you're calling on young guys, say under 30, they've all done something like that. Yard work, landscaping, minor construction. I had a buddy in high school whose dad owned a construction company, and they'd pick us up at Saturday morning, and our job was to clean up the site. And you're like, oh, if you're not used to carrying heavy things and, you're bending over, you're in dirt, it's cold.
Right. Working for 10 hours straight.
Yeah. And you come home and it's like, go party. It's like, no way. You're like, I want to take a bath and go to bed. But that kind of, that's real work, right? What we do is, it's cerebral and, emotionally draining sometimes, but it's certainly not backbreaking.
Yeah, absolutely. But it can be just as exhausting in so many ways.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to, it's the hardest thing, trying to get people to do things, right? And, people are on their current path and we're trying to build interest, trying to connect with them. And, we get a lot of rejection. Now, was that something that slowed you down at all?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was making at least 100 calls a day and, 90% of them were no's. Trying to build and figure this thing out on our own. Me and a few interns, it was really exciting in a lot of ways when you got that yes. But, at the end of the day, it was very exhausting, mentally exhausting. You get objection after objection after objection. It really beats you down. Luckily, I had really great support, both in the office and at home. I have some really close friends that were there enduring alongside me, gave me some great venting. My now wife, Erin, was a huge support in those early years, just trying this out. She always had faith in me to really to make it happen, and luckily we stuck with it.
And you were calling at that time, or maybe even still, on automotive dealers? Was that the primary profile?
Great question. So for me, it was a combination of three industries: real estate, insurance, and just financial industries in general, and completely explorative. We hadn't worked really much in these industries before. We had a few here or there looking for us, but at the end of the day, we were creating this market back in 2011. No one was looking for video email yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were just getting into email itself.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, I think we overestimate, how fast technology has moved.
Mm-hmm.
I look back and it's like, even just the iPhone, although it came out, 10, 11 years ago, it really didn't go mainstream until, probably 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know people that don't have a smartphone, and you just shake your head. And there's still a lot of people that just, and you're calling on laggards. I mean, those are not the cutting edge industries as far as technology.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because I mean, the people that go into automotive, it's not like people go to college to sell cars, right? It's, it's one of those things. The same thing with real estate. It's like, and insurance. It's one of those things that it's not the Ivy League grads. It's kind of the common folk, and that they're at varying stages of technology. And you chose to use cold calling as the primary prospecting?
Correct. Yeah, we'd do cold calling and make our way through to whoever we can get just to sit down for a quick online demo. So everything was inside sales, cold, and webinar based at that time.
And how has your messaging changed over the 7 years?
Absolutely. So probably the biggest thing that we've changed is that we've kind of flipped our perception of what we're trying to provide. Early on, video email, there was no competition for us. So we basically just made the claim, sold the tool, because there were a few early adopters that they hear that and they just want it because no one else is doing it. No one else has it. I don't care how expensive it is. I want that new shiny thing. So we went from selling the tool to really figuring out the problems that we solved. And now we sell either a painkiller or a vitamin, so to speak. People that are doing well want to enhance what they're doing. We sell, we figure out what their strategy is, what they're doing well, where can we enhance those strengths and solidify their position in that effort. And then the painkiller, obviously, people that are having problems that are noticing their numbers drop and don't know why, we can kind of alleviate that.
Well, let's get into that. But that's a big thing for me is like sell the problem, not the product. Because, everyone's got a product and everybody wants a ton of products, but people only really buy stuff to solve problems. You'll spend much more for an aspirin than you will for a vitamin. Mm-hmm. Right. Because you need the aspirin. Vitamin's nice to have. You can live with it. Well, what is the problem that you guys were trying to solve, or what your customers were trying to solve?
Absolutely. So at the end of the day, the problem can vary from a few things depending on the customer, and really having an explorative conversation is what kind of drums that up. They might know why they're reaching out. They might not know. They just know something's wrong or something's missing, and they're hoping we're the fix. But at the end of the day, the biggest problem that we saw, and the biggest reason why we wanted to go into business in the first place, and why I really wanted to stay on this team, is that I'm a little old school in a lot of ways. I don't like to text. I don't like to go onto Facebook and do direct messages. I don't like to order my pizza on an app. I want to call or go in. So I'm a little old school in some of those human interactions. I get it, though. I embrace technology because it's a necessity in today's business and also life. But the reason why I think CoVideo started is they saw that technology continued to make us more and more efficient, but at the sacrifice of stripping some of that humanity and that relationship from business to consumer, business to business relationships. So co-video their goal is to infuse humanity back into it. Why does everything have to be about the lowest price and commodity kind of transactions when it used to be relationship based? It used to be trust based. And it's hard to do that when you can't actually convey your sincerity and get in front of your customer and make eye contact. A lot of businesses are purely online now, and there's no way for them to actually connect on a human level with customers.
Yeah, because I think everybody's seeing that the text email is, it's been automated to death. So now it's ignored almost completely unless it's hyper personalized. And how much more hyper personalized can you get than video?
Exactly. And we're in this like and thumbs up culture, upvote culture at this point, right? So the biggest thing that hurts us is that feeling of being unnoticed, right? And that is what we are in the inbox right now. Attention spans are shorter. People expect more from us, but at the end of the day, we're unnoticed. We're invisible in the inbox.
Well, I mean, it went from a double whammy where we had opt-in email automation, marketing automation, and every marketer felt like, oh, if I contact you every day, I'll build a relationship. Not a good relationship. And then sales all of a sudden took non-opt-in email and turned it into a cadence. And I see these cadences, 16 touches in 16 days. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know how many people do you want to hear from 16 times in 16 days?
Exactly.
Who's not your child, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it was the newest shiny thing at first. And I followed that craze too. Even my email, then I signed up for newsletters, things I was interested in. And eventually I realized, wow, I'm signed up for like 20 different things. And I can't even find an email from my mother anymore. Right. Yeah. So I miss that communication that might be a little more important to me because I'm getting all this fluff and information in my inbox. So, we moved on to Internet 2.0, if you will. We moved a lot of that interest and following onto social media. So email at this point, it's not sexy, and it's more like a chore.
And I see the two industries that you described, automotive, real estate, and insurance, they're all relationship oriented, can easily be viewed as a commodity. Sending pictures, I don't think so. But when you give like a video tour, even you watch the reality shows on Bravo about real estate, they're always recording it on their smartphone for somebody who is not there.
Absolutely.
Because when you hire the staging company and the photographer, those pictures aren't accurate as how it would look like when you show up, right?
Exactly. Even testimonials to this day, online testimonials, there's a problem there now too. People they're doubting everything. They're skeptical of everything. But the one thing you can't fake is a real, authentic, in-life video to somebody, right? They know it's not edited. It looks too low quality, right? It looks like a non-expert made this. So, we're reinstilling that trust.
And that's it. So I'm putting myself in your customer's position. And it's like, well, why would I need this? And it's like, if I was selling a car, because every car, although it, you think it's a commodity, trying to get the right color with the right options at the right year, the right mileage at the right time, that's a very time event-based business. And if the person's, taking, I've seen your customers taking videos of the car, showing the inside and the outside, as opposed to the CarMax 20 pictures that they put in there. And, you can point out the flaws too. You can point out the good parts. I think it's just so much more engaging than, hey, the car's here. And then the person has to go, well, now I'm going to make a hour investment to go down there. So I can see you really solving that problem for them.
Yeah, and if you think about it beyond the industry, a lot of our purchases are, emotionally fueled, especially large purchases like a home or a vehicle, right? There is a ton of excitement and a ton of fear. People are terrified to make the wrong decision, right? So how do we do that? How do we set them at ease? We got to take it away from the decision and the commodity, right? They're excited about that, but we want to take the fear away. So let's remove the unknowns. I'm a stranger. Part of the fear is the fact that you have to trust somebody with this big decision. You don't, that's why we try to prepare as best as we can, and everything might look great on paper, but we get in there, we're still afraid. So I think that's the main thing, is that we forgot that how emotionally driven purchases are. Those gut feelings of, yes, this is right, or I'm excited, I'm just going to do this. We need to reestablish that connection with the emotional purchase, not in a way that kind of like makes people make mistakes, in a way that helps them feel comfortable with their decision and confident in their decision during and after the fact.
Yeah, and in a consumer's life, those are the two largest purchases: a car and a house.
Mm-hmm.
You might upscale, but those most likely will be. Give us an idea of what your day at work looks like. I'm sure after 7 years, you've got a pretty good routine identified.
Absolutely. So I try to get in a little bit early. We have a gym here in the office, and I usually try to get in a little bit of a workout because it helps me wake up and it gets my mind right for the day. So I think it's really important to get moving or to stimulate yourself in some way, right? Whether it's a mental puzzle or if it's a physical type thing, getting up and having something that you use to greet the day. It could even just be relaxing, right? But having that first, I think, is a key. Then I like to actually greet my coworkers. I find that if you spend a little bit of time purposefully, not distraction wise, to really connect with your coworkers, you're going to find that you're happier, your coworkers are happier, you work better together. And when something comes up, because conflict is important to a good business, if a conflict arises, you have that rapport to approach it respectfully and find a solve that's positive. So that's my morning routine. It may not be perfect, but that's kind of what I like to do. And then I try not to check my emails right away. I think that is it can be a huge burden and it can overwhelm you. So the first thing I do is I look at what I prepared the evening before of what do I want to accomplish today. So I will accomplish that list first, and then I will get into my email, and not just knee-jerk reaction to them. I'm going to scan it first, find what is important, find out what is timely, hit those first, and kind of work my way back instead of just top to bottom mentality of a checklist.
And what would you, or what do you do different today that you didn't do, say, 5 or 6 years ago?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I do a lot better now that I never did is actually building a network of relationships. So instead of just calling for dollars and dialing for dollars, taking my time, right? Getting to learn more about these people, finding out more about what they care about. Who do they know? Are they, do they have any hobbies or habits that they like to really do? So I think getting to know my customers a little bit more to find out how I can build an introduction to someone else I can help, people that they care about. I think that's really important. So I really focus a lot on LinkedIn, making connections there, making sure that I'm not just posting content, but I'm sharing other people's content. I'm commenting on it, really trying to give more instead of just expecting. So I think that's the biggest thing. Is it used to be I will give you if you give me in my early years. Now it's I will give you and then maybe I'll get something in return. Hopefully a good, strong relationship and trust.
It's good that it only took 5 years, but it usually takes about 25 to 30 years for some people to figure that out. Why aren't these people giving me things?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I got into this at like 25 and no experience. So I fell on my face quick enough and often enough that, maybe I had an opportunity to learn a little bit quicker in today's given age and technology and availability.
Well, that's it, I think. And, you know, what I've seen, that's the number one thing that I see with reps that aren't being successful is they think it's someone else's job to buy your product. And, you might be if they're already an existing customer or you're a big brand, but most likely, no, it's not their job to buy your product. It's our job to persuade them to be interested and get the value out of our product. And that doesn't happen in a 3 or 4 to 5 minute phone call.
Absolutely.
I would think with your product, it takes, an awareness. You build up some curiosity. You do a trial. They get some level of interest. You keep the interest moving, and then the light bulb goes off. That all of a sudden they're used to it. They're not scared of the camera anymore. They don't have to do their makeup and blow out their hair before they send an email. And that's it, because people comment on me, why do you do those videos when you're walking? I go, that's when I think of my ideas.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go take a shower, get into my suit and stand in front of the camera. It's like, I'm out there, I have my phone with me anyway, and boom, you get some ideas going and you get 2 things done at the same time.
Absolutely.
And do you coach some of the reps that come and start at Co-Video?
Yes, absolutely. And really the first thing that we focus on is, low-hanging fruit, whether it's a rep coming to Co-Video or if it's a new customer. Obviously, everyone wants to make money, grow their business, etc. I like to try and slow people down, right? I want them to be comfortable. I don't want them to have that high pressure kind of feeling. So when they come on, they're coming on because they want to use this as a sales tool. But the first thing I suggest to them is not to use us for that. I ask them to take a moment to look at some of their favorite customers, friends, partners, whoever it may be, anyone that they worked with or sold or didn't sell in the last month to 3 months. Start sending thank you videos first, right? There's no pressure there. It's usually a happy audience. It gets you used to looking at the camera and paying attention and also paying a little bit less attention. At your mannerisms, etc. So I try to get them to go along those routes first, and then we introduce the sales concept. And really, a lot of people try to make video bigger than it is, more of a production. Like you're saying, you don't have to go press your suit and to do your makeup or anything like that. Really, it's a natural interaction, and it's the exact same thing you say on a voicemail. The exact same guidelines. You're concise, you're purposeful. And at the end of the day, you're smiling, because if you're leaving a good voicemail, you're smiling when you talk, right? So it's the exact same thing, except now I get a redo button every time. I'm terrified of leaving voicemails. I hate it. It's the worst thing for me, because I never know when I'm going to start rambling, and I never know when I'm going to get an opportunity to re-record that voicemail. It's always different, right?
Yeah, different key.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, I really appreciate your time today. Where do people go to connect with you on LinkedIn and learn more about Co-Video?
Absolutely. You can search Dustin Co-Video, Dustin. I'm named after Dustin Hoffman. My dad loved him. So Dustin, and then Co-Video is Covideo. Probably easier than my last name, Bomas. B as in boy, A-U, M as man, I, S as in son. But I'm the only Dustin works here, so you'll probably find me.
Hey, Dustin's a great guy. It's a great story going from being a roofer to a sales rep. I think we all have some version of that story. And, mine was I sold shoes in high school, did shipping and receiving and procurement to work my way through college, self-taught my way into programming, computer programming, ran tests, and became one of a better, probably in the top 10% of engineers. But then salespeople started pulling me out on demos. And then I learned how much they made. And I was like, well, I'll figure out how to do that. They're driving better cars, working 40 hours a week. I was riding my bike, running at lunchtime, making half of what they were making. Yeah, I got to wear a ponytail, though. So there's trade-offs. But here's the 3 things I got out of this conversation with Dustin. Number 1 was just practice sending video thank you notes. Now, thank you notes is one of those weird things that if you do it in email, near worthless. because people know, that took you 10 seconds. You hit a button. It's like a happy birthday email. You're like, oh, thanks for the effort, right? It's just, there's some thought in it, tiny bit, but not much. But the thought that goes into a video, because everybody knows that there's that little hurdle of getting used to being in front of the camera. It's like I do those walk and talks on LinkedIn all the time, and people are like, well, how do you do that? It's like I have my iPhone with me anyway, even though I got the new Apple Watch, and I don't have to have it with me, but it's just pattern, it's just habit. And I just bought a $20 selfie stick. I come up with sales ideas all the time because I see so much BS out there about what doesn't work by people who have never sold or haven't sold in 20 years, or, work for their mommy or have a job board or whatever. These people have never sold. And here they are writing books all the time. And it infuriates me that people think that this is selling. Selling is the whole game. We're playing a sport. It's not just one inning. It's not just one position. We have to play the whole game and win the whole game. And so through 24/7, my little mind's going on sale. So I just open up my camera. It has a little Bluetooth remote. I go boop. And believe me, I can do 5 or 10 of them on a walk and a run. And I go out every day. And it's beautiful out. And I just love doing it. And it's easy. But the first couple times, it's awkward. Neighbors stare. I've had people come up to me and go, what is that? I go, an iPhone? No, it's on a stick. Selfie stick. And people just don't get it. And it's also very helpful when you cross the street, because if you don't really know what you're looking at, it has this telescoping thing, a lot like what the police use in the riot. So I get into the crosswalk and I just open it and swipe it down to my foot. And the cars stop immediately because they think I'm going to hit them or I'm a cop. Okay, that's number one. Okay, here I'm rambling. Number 2 is forget trying to be perfect. Just forget it. You're never going to be perfect. No one is perfect. We are in a performance sport, meaning that no matter how long you've been doing this, I've been doing it since they discovered dirt. Am I great at it? No. I'm okay. I'm better than some, not as good as others. But you have to practice every day, and you have to grade yourself every day. And the market grades us all every day. Every time we're not getting a deal, we lose it to a competitor. We forget to keep the deal moving. We forget one of the steps. We don't prepare. We wing it. We pay for that. Every lost deal, just figure out the commission. I know nobody wants to think about that. That's what you paid for that lesson. So learn it. You already paid the you think the cost of my training is money? That's nothing. Think about you losing one deal, whatever it is, whether it's 10K average deal size, 1K, 100K. Take your commission rate. How many deals did you lose this year? Okay, lose is a strong word. Delay, no decision. That make you feel more comfortable? Yeah, we all got a lot of no decisions that aren't in the bank right now. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 1, thank you, emails, video ones, very sincere, great practice. Number 2 is forget being perfect. Just do, learn, do better. Keep that cycle going, because you're getting graded whether you grade yourself or the market grades you. And then, what's number 3, Brian? Come on, what's number 3? Here it is. Boom. Give first. Oh, did you ever hear that somewhere before? Yeah, like I made it up. I didn't make it up. Neither did Dustin. It's been around since the beginning of time. But how many of us really do it? We're really good at taking. Our job is taking. But we can't take until we give first. And giving and to the point until we get rapport and have the right to earn something in exchange, instead of trying to think that we've got something so compelling or we're going to find the needle in the haystack. Those 2 strategies are diminishing like a milk carton right now, or more like a banana or an avocado. You get a banana, you could basically time it. Oh, let's see, it's ripe. Rotten. 5 minutes later. An avocado, you wait, it's kind of stiff. I love avocados. And then an hour later, it's all mushy. And you're like, oh, God. That is what's happening to those 2 strategies. Why? Because everyone's doing it. We've automated what doesn't work to the point that nothing works right now. We have to go back to human basics. That's what I teach and start the conversation, get the meeting. But a sledgehammer comes with the course to kind of correct our thinking, because we're in this pattern. And it's not our fault. We've been doing it for so long. We have to kind of take a step back, use the hammer to kind of readjust our thinking so that we find something that is going to work. And that's what the course is. Those are the top 3. I'm telling you, you take those 3. Here's a guy, learned it the hard way. Now you just got it for free. Thank Dustin over at covideo.com. Also, are you checking out Nudge? Nudge has got a great new interface for LinkedIn. What it enables you to do is see your connections, your relationships, where they scour the internet and look through your email box and find out who on your team is closest to that person. And it'll help you. If you're a manager, you can use Nudge to determine how strong the relationships are between the two companies and who has the strongest relationship within that company. These are all things that are folklore otherwise. And if you're not using AI to do the prospecting for you, you're foolish. You get a 1 month free with the Brutal Truth coupon code. Same is true with Pipedrive. Pipedrive, I talked to them a couple of weeks ago. They're making this huge push into mid-sized companies. The product is solid right now. They've got great capabilities. The need for those cadence tools is gone away. Why? Because Salesforce already has one right now. And God forbid you have to use that. And in the mid-size, I use it. So when I move a deal from one stage to another, automatically my process is implemented. A certain type of email is sent. A certain type of action is sent. I use it with Zapier, so it connects up with everything else I have. It is magic. And I pay like $25 a month, which is like the middle version. You can get as little as 12. You get 1 month free with Brutal Truth coupon code. At minimum, check it out for a month, and you can use it as your in-mail box. All of a sudden, you got your CRM and your in-mail box all connected up. And I know you got a million excuses, but if you don't own your own CRM, you're not a salespreneur. And that's where the future is. We're going to be doing a lot of series on really what's going on in the sales profession. I did this video last week about why only 53% of the salespeople are making their number. And yeah, they own a little bit of it. They own a lot of it, right? They lose deals, ramp time, all of these things that we all own. But also companies are making it harder and harder to make our number. They're reducing the commission rate by increasing the on-target earnings and the quotas. So it's really a shell game with our comp plans. And this has been going on ever since I've been in sales. When I first started in sales, it was super simple. But the problem is what we sell has become more complex. There's more monthly deals than annual deals or enterprise deals. And companies want to protect themselves on the upside and on the downside. And believe me, they're using AI to determine that. When I worked at a big company, I said, you know what they're using all that computer power for? They go, what? To make sure we don't get paid well. That's what they're using it for. Hey, I appreciate your time. Also, show notes. Hey, I get a lot of people, hey, can you send me a link to this? Send me a link to that. I put it all in the show notes. On the iPhone, all you have to do is swipe up page, put your little finger like the French Prince of Bel-Air and just swipe up and you'll see all the links in the show notes to all the deals with my partners and the products that I use with the links. Now, I don't have an Android phone, so I don't know how to do it on the Android phone. If you have an Android phone and you don't know how to do it, just go on YouTube and say, how do I find podcast show notes on Android? Instead of asking me to do it for you. I'm busy over here. I'm trying to help you guys sell more. We'll see you next time. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode. And I really would appreciate everybody who goes onto LinkedIn, connects up with me or follows me there. If you happen to see some of my content flying by, if you could throw a little thumbs up or a comment or a share, I definitely appreciate it. It helps spread the word about the podcast. And make sure you're checking out my website, b2brevenue.com. You can get my free book on how companies make product selections. It's a real book. It is on Amazon, but I give it away for free. Just register there. It'll email you a link to it, and you can just download the PDF from there. Also, if you want to check out the courses, start the conversation, get the meeting, or closing the complex sale, and you have more questions about it, the short answer is there are video courses. You get access for a year, but it's also a community. What does that mean? You can ask questions anytime via voicemail or email. I answer them within a week, put them into the course. We have office hours every other week. It's an hour long course where you can I pick a topic, answer questions, you can ask questions. Also, you can schedule one-on-ones for free, and we just talk through your particular use case, and that gets shared with the course. So if you don't have time for office hours, or the timing doesn't work, or you just want some more one-on-one help, that's all included for a whole year. So it's really a year to go from where you are to where you want to be. And so it's not just videos, it's not just knowledge, it's practice, it's getting feedback. You can send me emails, you can send me your presentation. I'll help you with anything that you need to close the complex sale or get the meeting. And you can check out them at b2brevenue.com. So that's it. I really appreciate it. And please tell somebody about the podcast and let me know if I can help you in any way. Oh, and you want to hear some results from the course? Well, here you go.
I love the approach. It's working for me just fantastic. If I sent you some of the emails, which I should, the conversations that I'm having with people, I think you'd be blown away because they're not really about work. Yeah. I've figured out if you can kind of get personal with them, like one lady, it's all about her family, kids. And then I sprinkled in a little bit around work, and she's LinkedIn, sending me messages on LinkedIn, photos of her family. No, I'm not even kidding. I should show this to you. You'd be stunned. I was shocked. And we're going to lunch on September 6th. And yesterday she shot me a LinkedIn message and said, "Hey, Ron, why don't we get on the phone and do a video call beforehand so our lunch isn't so awkward? We're like barely not meeting each other for the first time." Oh, holy cow, right? Like, this is unbelievable. So this is not the first time that this has happened. She's kind of an extreme, but I'm starting to figure out a pattern where I can actually make this a process, So
good. Yeah.
I'll show you that. So it's getting to that point. And every time I do this, I'm like, God, this is unbelievable, So.
And it feels better too, doesn't it?
Oh, Brian, let me tell you something. To be able to go to lunch with her, I'll even talk to her on the phone, right? We're going to talk about family, kids, work-life harmony, because I shared a thing with her from Bezos about work-life harmony. This is where the conversation will start. Now, at some point, we're both not stupid, right? We know we're going to talk about work. We know why we're both there. Right. But to kick it off this way is so much better. And to end that lunch with the last 5 to 8 minutes of telling, well, what are you guys doing with digital